Welcome back to my channel, because many of you asked for the full build I use for farming, so as I promised in the previous video, I would like to present you my build now. I must point out that it contains some unconventional solution, so you will have to consider if it is suitable for you. But I'm sure I'll give you at least some ideas that you can adapt to your needs. So let's begin. Skills and skill rotation. As my main source of damage, I use a Sith and a Lance. It has a huge range, which is very useful. In addition, the Sith must have the effect of fear, and the Lance damage over time. As a second source, more passive, I use bone armor and bone spirits. It allows me to keep my speed and still deal a lot of damage. Here it is crucial that the bone spirit also must have the effect of fear. It will be explained in a moment. So the main goal of this build is to use the Sith as a rotation opener. Then you eliminate the enemies with the Lance, which sequentially you use for the next groups. Meanwhile, you use bone armor and bone spirits whenever you need to increase your DPS. Also remember that this build uses more mechanics that cause a chain reaction. So even if you fail to defeat the mob's pack in the first moment, most likely the rest of the bonuses included in this build will finish them off. That's why fear is so important. Significant factor is movement speed, which makes farming much more efficient. So let's move on to green set and essences. Set Windloft Perfection or Isitar Imbued helps a lot moving quickly, so two pieces are very necessary core of this build. I personally use Windloft, but Isitar is also a playable option. For this configuration I use for pieces of Flagellant's Grace, but it's not as necessary as the previous ones. Especially if you are using Isitar, then you might as well use more than to parts and add, for example, to parts of Vithis for longer bone armor duration. It's really up to you. Hit for extra damage over time for the Lance, mostly effective when using Flagellant. Shoulders aren't really significant in this build, due to the lack of essence we could use effectively. Weapon with fear chance for bone spirit, and a shield changing it to 2 large skulls. Another very important core of this build adds fear to the Sith and additional AoE damage. Remember that. And of course armor with orbiting spikes. So that's more or less how it should be. In my humble opinion, this is the fastest farming option. But let's get to the most important. Paragon tree and gems. As I am not a big fan of the treasure hunter, several times I tried to convince myself to this tree, and each time I had the impression that it does not give me as much as I expected. Of course, if you think the treasure hunter is good for you, then I don't see any reason why you should stop using it. However, I prefer to make my chances for better loot dependent on the speed of farming. So if you have a similar opinion, I recommend Duelist or Massacre. I prefer Duelist, but Massacre due to even greater speed of movement will be equally effective here. If you are interested, I made a whole video about it. There you will find more information. And now, let's move on to the most important part, which are the gems. As you can see, you don't need to have a lot of resonance to play effectively. Much more important in PvE is how the gem works than its resonance. So it's good practice to store gems with a unique effect. You never know if you might need them or not. For this build I use for standard gems that increase my damage: Berserker, Torment, Bloody Reach, and Jade. Each of them have been discussed in my other videos. However, worth noticing, the new gem, which is the Volatility Shard, works great for farming, where basically mobs don't have much HP. In its place was a Seeping Bile, but its effect was seen much less often, so I recommend giving it a try if you have this gem. You really don't need a high rank because you just need its bonus. And the last, Chip of the Stone, considered by many to be useful only for PvP, but this gem is a must for this build. Same as Shard, rank 1 is enough. It basically turns fear into ticking time bombs that deal significant area damage. So apart from the usual skills, in this configuration we will have accumulated additional 3 effects from the Sith, from the new Shard, and from the Chip. Basically, they act as another skill that we don't even need to use, but it certainly improves our efficiency a lot. Remember that you can always replace Bone Armor or Bone Spirit for Wrath form if you feel you need it. It's really worth experimenting with different solutions. I also recommend area damage with immobilization as an invocation bonus. Works great with Chip, and bonus movement speed from Warband. And that would be it. I hope this video will be helpful for many of you, so please don't forget to click a thumbs up if you like the content. I also strongly recommend subscribing to stay updated with the new ones. And as always, check out my other videos, and thanks for watching.